Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Yes, it's me, Graham Moore, otherwise known as Daddy Dragon, and I am here to have a quick conversation about last night. So I'll wait for people to log in, and then we'll get stuck into the conversation. Let me make sure I go on to that on all. I need to download something because it's not on my. Let me remove that one. Delete. And I'm going to add this one, add a background, and it was constitutional JPEG, constitutional weekender, which we're going to put up, and I've got to do a whole video about this, create background. I'm going to show that in a couple of minutes. Before I do, let me make sure that is on there. Is that the constitutional weekender, or is that the one? I think I've removed that one. Remove, delete, and then we want to put that one back on there, right? So, okay, slightly late setting up, doing little bits and pieces, but I do want to say to everyone watching that we had a fantastic evening last night. Now, why is this up on your screen? Hopefully, can you all see and hear me, by the way? It says media is still on your screen. I don't know what that means. Can you all see and hear me? Give me a 5x5, meaning you can see and hear me. And let me put all back on there. Give me a 5x5 just to make sure you can all see, because otherwise I'm talking to myself. So the event last night went really well. Emma Dunwell and Sandi Adams, and a really, really fantastic audience. I'm not sure if some of them was expecting me to be there or not, but they was listening intently, and there were some great questions from the audience, as there always is. What I will say is some people ask questions. It may be, and by the way, only intelligent people ask questions, right? So I just want to, there's no such thing as silly question, because only intelligent people ask questions. If you don't understand something, you do need to ask, why is that? Or what happened? Or what, why do you say that? And that's exactly what we all expect from the audience. But you might ask a one-liner, and a one-liner could take me an hour to explain it. Then you've got to look at your audience to say, do I explain it in the most simple terms, basic, intermediate, or advanced? And you have to judge the audience for what it is, depending on who you're in front of. So the major part of it is last night was a fantastic event. There was Sandi Adams was actually going through. Let me take this off the screen and I'll come back to it because it's probably the easiest way of doing it. Let me share that. I don't know what that one means, but Sandi Adams was talking through, in effect, regionalisation and what's going on, and how they're doing it and what they're doing. It's been one of my pet subjects for years, right? And I can go through the detail from the European Union of how they put it all in place. It wasn't just the Labour Party that pushed it through. It was the Conservative and Unionist Party, John Major in particular, David Cameron, and the Labour Party and the Lib Dems, because the Lib Dems was then part of a coalition with the Conservative and Union Party. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that regionalisation, and again, they've changed the name again. This is what they do, right? It's part of their psychological influence over people. If you start to think and understand that regionalisation is bad, they would change the name of regionalisation, but not what it's about, to devolution. And they'll try and make it sound positive. And there is nothing positive for England from devolution whatsoever, right? There is nothing positive from devolution to Scotland. Scotland is currently destroyed. So is Wales, and so is Northern Ireland. And the only real way of getting all them three nations back from the communists, fascists, European Union, is to take the whole of that out. There is a simple way of doing it, but we're going to get back to having a bit more of a conversation about what we're doing and how we're going forward. I do need to try and contact someone after the show. If I can, it might be too late for them. But I just want to explain a few things so everyone knows where we are and what we're doing. No to regionalisation, exactly, and no to devolution. It's being touched on by Restore Britain, but they don't understand. I'm a bit shocked at Rupert Lowe, to be honest with you. Jimmy Goldsmith got this bang on. He knew exactly what they was doing, right? And it is to destroy England. They have to destroy the common law. The common law is God's law, and God's law is the common law of England, right? When you go right away back to King Alfred I, I think it was 40 elements of our ancient laws and customs that were put in writing to the people were the first 40, not paragraphs as such, but 40 verses from the Bible. All I'm doing is saying we've always been a Christian nation. And it is, I agree with someone else I spoke to earlier on, this is spiritual, right? Without any doubts. And last night I never got to explain, where on seminars I explain to some people who ask, I died and crossed over and come back, right? And as far as I'm concerned, they let me come back for a reason. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. So again, what I'm going to do is bring this. So it was a fantastic evening. I did an hour, and then we did questions and answers for various things. There's some things I'm not going to go into, but someone asked me if I was going to get involved with some group that are creating this common law cult. No, I'm not. John Smith and a group of others con people into all of that. There is a way constitutionally of taking back this country. There is a way of getting our courts back, so they enforce the law on behalf of the people, right? Which is what their job is, the judges, and they should be, and so should the King of England, should be supporting us in the Constitution. And currently, none of them are doing that, right? And it don't take a lot of explaining to tell people how badly things are wrong. Now, for anyone who went to the event last night and have decided to tune in tonight, don't forget sharing is caring. Hit the like button. Hit various other elements, like, subscribe, etc. And certainly try, if you can, to come over to this side. So people was asking me last night, what are the great books? Now, I've just had a conversation with someone, a very good conversation I may add, and what I'm going to do is put this out. Now, what the person said to me was, let's see if this comes up and you can all see this, right? So this is one of the books that I was telling you about, Halsbury's Statutes, 4th edition. Now, you can see that it's been well used on my part, and there it is there. Constitutional Law. So it's the 4th edition, volume 10. I can't really bring that round, but you can see how thick it is. It's not like a tiny little book, but there it is, right? And if you go through that, it will tell you everything you need to know about the Constitution. There's another one here, which is the Halsbury's. Let me see if I can bring that round a different way. There's the Halsbury's Laws of England. That's the common law of England, right? And again, 4th edition, which it should be on there if you can see it. And then what you'll see is volume 8. And at the bottom there, you'll see constitutional law, conflict of law, which then tells you literally everything you need to know. And then there's a number of other books, which I won't go into. I don't really need to start firing in and showing you all that stuff, but there's a lot more. This is my favourite book. Why is it my favourite book? Because it selects statutes and cases and documents that illustrate the English constitutional history, right? And it basically tells you everything you want to know, right? In this book, which is very old, as you can see, I am a little bit eccentric, but from this, you've got the Access Settlement. It tells you everything you need to know. You've got people years and years and years and years ago that was reading this book and marking it off, because these marks, and then you've got all our old little markers in there. Someone's selling homemade hand cream, whoever that was. Let me see if I can go back on this Access Settlement. I will show you, if I can, the original. There's the Access Settlement there. Again, let's see if I can go back and show you the Bill of Rights, which is there, right? And it goes all the way through. Again, people have marked this. This isn't me marking it. This is someone. This book's 1909, I believe. But again, it's got the Bill of Rights, and it starts to talk. When I'm doing a full seminar, I'll go through and talk about this, right? But the bit I want to show you is this has still got the original in it, right? And in the original, this bit here, let's see if I can bring it up and you can see it on the screen, right? This original, provided that no charter or grant or pardon granted before the 3 and 20th day of October in the year of our Lord, 1689, shall be in any ways impeached or invalidated by this act, but the same shall be and remain of the same force and effect in law, and no other than as if this act had never been made, right? That's what protected our ancient laws and customs. But before I do anything else, I'm going to take you to this one, which is on the previous page. Hopefully you should be able to see it. And this is chapter 2, right, of the English Bill of Rights. It's really important that you understand this, because this is what I was talking about last night, that was top and tailed, and it's unlawful to do it, right? And they did it by stealth. And be it further declared and enacted by the authority aforesaid, that from and after this present session of Parliament, no dispensation by non-obstante of or to any statute or any part thereof shall be allowed, but the same shall be held void and of no effect, except a dispensation be allowed of in such statute, and except in such cases as shall be specially provided for by one or more bill or bills to be passed during this present session of Parliament. Do you understand that? So you could only change the English Bill of Rights during that, because the drafters of the Bill of Rights and the Lords that approved it was all present. And once it was passed, so it says forever 3 times, and it goes on with more details. Now, they top and tailed that, right? What do I mean by that? That chapter 2 was top and tailed in 1947, 1948, right? They did it by stealth. They hid it. They're supposed to tell you on the face of the bill, and they didn't. And that's by topping and tail it, they made themselves sovereign. Parliament made themselves sovereign. That was unlawful. They are not sovereign, right? So I just want to make sure everyone gets that. And what I'll do is go back to my normal FaceTime camera, hopefully, and we'll go back to, you can probably hear me, touch wood, yeah, you can. So hopefully everyone heard that and you see exactly what I was talking about. So what I'm going to do now is, again, there's a lot of people contacting me, and it's fantastic that more and more people, and especially in Devon, so that one seminar last night, I'm in Devon because I wholly believe, right, that Devon is so crucially important to England, right? There's many parts of England have been slaughtered now, including London, right? And I go around visiting very old churches, some of which are 1,000 years old, right? Because it's where my people prayed 1,000 years ago. The same spiritual element is still there within us. I feel at peace in them places, right? And I feel like we're pushing forward and we are making progress, right? There were a number of groups at the event last night that come up and spoke to me and said, we want you to do a full seminar at our event in Devon. So there's, I think, 3, maybe 4. Someone else has contacted me and they want to assist in creating the online course, which I've asked for help before to be able to do that. I haven't got the skill set to do it, right? But I have got the knowledge to put it in sections so people can understand it at a basic level, an intermediate level, and an advanced level. And I'm going to be writing a book, right? And remembering certain things that people don't value anything that you give for nothing, right? But this will be an education from the people, for the people, and for our children who are being robbed of these rights. And most of our current generation who have never been taught any of this, right? So hopefully that's all going to be moving forward. There's another conversation that I had that I don't want to repeat, but I will have a few conversations after the show with people. So again, it was really positive. I don't know. It's all been recorded, professionally recorded. This place was in a barn, and at first, when I first let me tell you the story, right? I'm thinking this is in the middle of nowhere in Devon, right? I mean, literally in a field, right? And there's this barn, right? So when we pulled up, it just stopped raining, and this guy walks out of the barn, and there's a whole hedge, right, edging the field and the barn, right? And he literally puts out signs like that and puts them in the hedge, urinal, and then goes, hang on, says urinal, and it moves along and puts another sign up and says urinal, right? And I was like, you're banging in trouble if you want to chance it, right? And by the way, they had a cure for that as well. If you went into the top left of the field, they said that's the compost area. If you want to, number 2, you can go and do it in that field, right? But they did have a toilet inside. Right, I would have been banging trouble with my suit on, trying to organise that one. But and I did find it was funny, right? So I don't know how many people was there. I would have said, because there was quite a few seats, they hold weddings in there. They have weddings in there and wedding receptions. And the guy who owned it was there. All of these people. There was an exceptional singer there. Do you remember the singer? What's his name? I can't remember his name. I apologise if you're watching, right? It's because so many names go. But do you remember when we was all on COVID and then the bloke used to sing a song about clowns and basically Starmart and all these different funny songs, and he'd be doing it on a loudaler and singing a song, and everyone would be singing it along because I was on their marchings and standing with him, right, and marching up and down and all that. And it was funny, but he was there last night, and he's in another song that he sings called Albion, and he dedicated it to me last night. I'll be honest with you, it choked me up a little bit, right, because even when we're at Running Mate and I've got 200, 300 English men and women walking towards me with English flags, it is a choker because I know the built-up passion for England is there, and we are being ignored, right? And I'm going to get on to the next part in a minute. But that particular guy put all these sound system on this device, right? So these songs are all on this device. So we bought that from him. I've got some mugs with Sandi Adams and Emma Dunwell, etc. So it was really fantastic. I really enjoyed it, right? And at these events, you get really wonderful people, highly intelligent people. They will listen, right? And again, people, anyone who knows me, when you ask me a question, I'll answer it straight, right? I think everyone really enjoyed it. Again, the number of people who said, we want you to do a full seminar, right? Show us what our constitution is, and we'll get the people to turn up and listen to you. So I want to do as many as I can in Devon. Devon is crucially important to England, right? And you won't take this country back unless you target certain areas and trigger them to believe in England and in our farming communities, etc. So people need to understand that. Let me go on to the next part, right? Because I need to just explain this to people. So it was a fantastic night. Everyone loved it. You should pick up some more people. We're going to do some other bits later on. The Union flag I used to love. I've sworn oaths to it many times, and now it makes me feel sick. Andy, no, I get you. I get that a million times over. And it's not your fault, and it's not the people's fault. They haven't been educated. They've been indoctrinated to believe something. It's a bit like having Stockholm syndrome, right? Well, it's not a bit like, it is. They use psychology. That's why I'll get a bit funny about psychologists, because psychology and psychologists have used their skills to brainwash people, basically on behalf of the government and the state. The same as communist and fascist judges are using their ideology against the people, right? And that's what people should really understand. And before we go on, Milking It in Jenkins has got a birthday, I believe, if that's what I just read correctly. So we're going to just say, here we go. Milking It Jenkins, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Milking It Jenkins, happy birthday to you. And if this starts pinging, I've got a load of things going on in the background on this computer that shouldn't really be there, and I forgot to take it off. So hopefully I've got the right person then. Lottie Collie, hello Lottie Collie, how are you? Let me have a quick look here. I ain't seen Lottie Collie in there for ages. Little Colin Wines, happy birthday to you. Chuck Money, many happy returns, everyone. So don't forget to put that put the English flag out there. I might have to turn this off, but I don't know how to. I'll put it off there. I'm charging my phone because it's dying. It's got no power in it whatsoever. And then I'm going to happy birthday Milking It. That's it. Loads of English flags coming up on there. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to this, because I think it's important that I'll get this across to people, right? Right. I am going to try and be as positive as possible in saying what I'm saying, right? National referendums, the meme says it all, right? Scotland versus England. You've got the unicorn versus the lion, right? 3-0, soon to be 4-0. This is against natural law. Do you all understand what natural law means? It's just so unfair. It's obvious to everyone that it's unfair, right? Now, if you are truly an anti-establishment party, of whatever name you are, let's say the English Constitution Party, let's say whoever that party is out there, right? That you say you're anti-establishment, the establishment does not, and it's plainly obvious from this meme, want to give England its own national referendum on independence and voiding, crucially important, the legal word void, abolish, not repeal, the Act of Union of our side towards Scotland. Now, Scotland has never really intended to leave the Union. It has used that and its referendums as leverage to get more and more from England, because it is a socialist nation, right? It is a Roman law jurisdiction, not a common law jurisdiction. And I explained briefly the other day how a jurisdiction looks. So imagine two separate houses. If I live in one house and someone else lives, Neil 56 lives in the house next door, we've got different house rules, right? And a different way of governing our properties, right? But if you put them together and you then bring one part all the way into one of the other houses, you start intermingling. And it has been said in this old law books that is like a cancer to the common law. The common law system will and has for 1100 years created and pushed forward England as a free nation. No Roman law system has ever survived, even as a monarchy or as a republic. No Roman law system has survived. The longest surviving nation under common law is England, right? 1100 years. And it has produced, we have produced as English men and women, one of the greatest nations in the world that we should be very proud of. We created and invented computers completely, right? Charles Babbage, 1832, right? You had two elements to that, and it was obviously later on it was made into an electronic device, but the point is the whole concept of it, including a difference machine and then an analytical machine, which wasn't actually completed in 2002, but the actual concept was proved to work, which is the analyst side of a computer, or analytical or logical side of computer. Again, if you look at the English, we was the ones who created high-rise buildings. We was the ones who designed multi-story with, and I'm just going to make sure everyone gets this, with steel frames, etc. So you create tower blocks going up, 1,000 feet or more. The tallest buildings in the world currently being built. The original technology and design come from England. We created the railway system as most of the world sees it today, including the steam engine. We created, although we co-created it, one of the fastest airplanes in the world, which was Concorde. We created the telephone system, technically, because we've done the advancements on it. There are some that say that the Scots created this and Scots created that. The only group of people that have created the World Wide Web, for example, and give it all away for the benefit of mankind are the English. We created a constitution, freedom, and the crucial part of that is the common law right to freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and freedom of expression, because those freedoms gave you something else, right? And that was the freedom to invent. And there's some stories I can tell you about that people really do need to understand. The crucial part of this is England. The people of England need to remember who they are. They need to return to the Constitution and take back this nation of England from complete communist tyranny. If you are truly, as we are, the English Constitution Party, and don't forget we've got the educational side, which is the English Constitution Society, which is what we're pushing forward, everything and anything that we're doing at the moment with the seminars, and they're always well attended by good people. People need to understand a simple fact, that if you are anti-establishment, then what you see on your screen now, you would be turning around to the people of England and saying, we are going to address that issue. If the establishment have never wanted to give you a referendum, we will give you that referendum. We will tell you, and by the way, you're talking about a 90% turnout in referendums. They're renowned throughout the world. Referendums increase, direct democracy increases the turnout because it's a bit like having a lottery rollover, right? It's such an important thing to do. And again, when I talk about the Scots never ever really wanting to leave the Union, that is true. They've just used it as a leverage. If they really wanted to leave the Union, all they've got to do, it's even simpler for them. It'd be simpler for the England as well, but it's getting everyone to do it. If Scotland wants to leave, all they've got to do is withdraw all their members of Parliament and Lords, take them to Holyrood, open Holyrood as a sovereign parliament again, literally, not a devolved parliament, not an assembly, but an actual sovereign parliament. If the king doesn't want to assist in that, they can declare themselves a republic and just say that the king has abdicated, which he clearly has, and I can show them the proof of that. And all they've got to do is have a committee meeting, go into the chamber and vote, and a simple majority vote to leave the Union and void their part of the Acts of Union, they're out. That's it. Done. The Union is over. Right? It's as simple as that. And I can show you in law where technically they should never, ever have gone into any form of union. And it was someone from the Shetland Islands that showed me that in law. And I was shocked, but it's true, right? So that's the first thing for everyone to remember. If you are truly an anti-establishment party, you would rectify the injustice, and certainly the situation currently goes against natural justice, right? In other words, it is so unfair that the English we've not had a single, so I'd have to go back and show you the actual record to get the figures right, but I'm sure it was Scotland's had 3 national referendums. When I might say national referendums just for Scottish people and only Scottish people, whether it be independence or not, but at least 2 of them were for independence. Wales has had 2, and Northern Ireland has either had 1 or 2, but just national referendums for Northern Ireland, right? And England has had absolutely 0, right? Scotland has a first minister, Wales has a first minister, Northern Ireland has a first minister, therefore they're represented and they have members of parliament in that parliament, the Westminster Parliament, which is a British parliament. There is no English representatives in that parliament. All the rest of them are British, right? Keir Starmer technically is British, not English, and he declares himself as such. So therefore, we have got no representation whatsoever. Without representation, you don't have to pay your taxes, but they pass laws for PAYE. And there's lots of things that I can talk about and show people. Now, what are the benefits if England left the Union? The first is that the United Kingdom, as a United Kingdom, would stop immediately. A bit like putting a company into administration. No one can come in and buy them assets, by the way, because the assets belong to the constituent nations. But all of the debt, all of the agreements with the United Nations would stop immediately because none of them have the authority of an English Parliament, a Scottish Parliament, Northern Irish Parliament technically, or a Welsh Parliament. Now, there are some issues with Northern Ireland, but we can address that, right? And I'm not running away from Northern Ireland. I believe that Northern Irish are more English than the English, right, currently. And therefore, they should be as independent as the Isle of Man and be a protectorate of England. They can choose to be a protectorate of Scotland if they really want. I doubt if they would do that. But just to make sure everyone's aware, Northern Ireland would absolutely fly, right? So would technically Wales, so would England. The only place I could really see failing over time, and it's none of my business, is Scotland, right? Because they're a Roman law jurisdiction. That's really the reality. So, what does that mean? It means that, again, I've already said it once. Once you void the Acts of Union, abolish, it means it's never been law and it was never good law, right? And it's the simplest way of resetting England back, if you like, to 1701, right? So anything up until the point the Acts of Union was brought into place, that's what created the British Parliament. So anything that British Parliament created after that is null and void, right? Everything. That includes the European Communities Act of 1972. That includes every bit of legislation that they ever put in place to destroy the English, all the subversive acts against the English Constitution are null and void. So you basically solve the problem with one foul swoop, right? The banishment of all these people, and I'm not saying it's not going to be difficult for 18 months, it will be, but you've still got to then get rid of these people that are here, that you don't want here. I'm going to emphasise to everyone what I'm saying. I am certainly not an ethno-nationalist, so that means if there are black or brown people here that have been here for some time and they are culturally English, so they're not indigenous English, but they're culturally English. In other words, they are fully integrated, they're working, they're honest people, they're good people, etc. They're second generation, if you want to call it that, are not thuggish, horrible, nasty people that hate us. But if they are, they're gone as well, right? We're looking for the good people. There is no issue with them people, right? If you ask me, what would I do with all the British Pakistanis? By the way, British would not exist anymore. There is no British nationality. So Pakistanis, and I've said this before, their constitution and their law in Pakistan actually states, and I could go even further with this, that they are Pakistani by descent. So they're Pakistanis, right? That is their nationality. And you could pick the whole lot up and send them all back, right? And by the way, that includes Ben Habib, right? Just to make sure you're all aware of this, by voiding the Acts of Union, Israel would not exist anymore, right? In law, because it was given authority by the Balfour Agreement. It was given authority by the Palestinian Mandate in 1923 and the petition of Palestine in 1948, right? All of that is null and void on the British side because the British don't exist anymore. The British Parliament don't exist and the authority for it don't exist, right? That's factual. That's in law. That is why. And it's not our problem, right? Because our problem is England and saving England. Our problem is saving Devon, Norfolk, Gloucestershire, and you would have to retake the counties and shires outside of London. Middlesex would come back. There would be no regions or devolution. The whole thing would be dead, right? And then we would be putting in processes for those people that need to be tried for treason. And you will be tried for treason for what you've done to England, right? And there's no excuses because ignorance is no defence in law. But this all goes back to natural justice. Treason is the most heinous offence that you can commit, right? England is a Christian nation. It has been for a very, very long time, centuries, almost 2 millennia. And people need to understand that we are taking the country back. We are not laying back and just taking it. Now, people like Reform and Nigel Farage, and I've shown the video on this show previously, with Nigel Farage talking about Scotland and referencing the English, and especially those in the north of England, being very upset and uptight about keep throwing money over Hadrian's Wall. Scotland, again, gets free prescriptions. Well, it's not free because the English are paying for it. They don't pay for university education. It's paid for by the English. The parking in hospitals is all free, and the reason it's not free, really, is because the English are paying for it. And the English are paying for all of those things, right? Well, 250,000 jobs in Scotland rely on the English. That'd all be gone. Everything would come back to England, and England's economy and our industries would be restarted. All right. Any nonsense, and if they come out of any nonsense about oil and North Sea gas or whatever, there is going to be some, but we don't have to negotiate that. By the way, we will literally make sure everyone understands what's going on. At the moment, the Labour Party are talking about bringing it into law that you cannot use any of that. They are systematically destroying England, right? And the Scots are assisting with that, in my view. And I'm not talking about the Scottish people, by the way. I'm talking about the Scottish regime, the socialist regime that has got control of Scotland, that sold out the Scottish people and lied to them, that have an assembly which is in effect controlled by the European Union, the same as London is. And everyone needs to understand what devolution is. Devolution is regionalisation. London is, and so is Scotland, a region of the European Union. It is administrative law, not common law, and that is what they're making against you. That's why you started to be hammered in London with all sorts of taxes anywhere you go, with creating mad cycle lanes and all sorts of nonsense in London, 20-mile-an-hour zones, charging for the Blackwall Tunnel, which has been there for years. They'll be charging, no doubt, soon for the Rotherhithe Tunnel. And that's already been built by our ancestors, right? But all of those, anyone who's ever been into London, you will be fined immediately if you don't pay it. And it's disgusting what they're doing. They're just robbing people, right? That is what communists do. That's what Marxists do. And what we've got to do is stop that. So again, if you are truly an anti-establishment party, you will give the English and again, the governance of England is for the English. If it was me personally, I would move, and I would design it purposely. I would move a parliament to either Hull, York. I'll definitely put it up north. It certainly shouldn't be in the south of England. As the heartbeat of England, it would be state of the art. You would have proper voting systems, and as part of this New England, right, this restored England, you would restore the media to honest brokers of the truth and only the truth. Because once you do that, that is a prerequisite to something else. And I'm referring to Ashby versus White, 1703. And that is that judgment stated that you have representative democracy, so you elect your representative to protect your civil liberties and rights and to air your grievances to the Crown. And the reason why it is a representative democracy and not a direct democracy was because they didn't have that technology then. We now do have that technology. The problem is the media. So if you can resolve the media problem, and I do believe that many of our media have committed treason, yeah, and we resolve that issue, and we will resolve that issue, right? And many of them will be sent to prison. Then you can have direct democracy. And then when we talk about certain things, you can all sit there and go bing, 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 bing. But there needs to be a manual system that can be put in place if there's something seriously wrong, right? And most of us would know if there was something seriously wrong. So you would have to put it back out to the people. If anyone started getting control of them systems that shouldn't have control of them systems, and we would be saying, okay, you're going to get life in prison if you put any code in them systems that lies about the results, right? You've just got to make sure you enforce it and send them people in there. I'll get Graham to have a look. What's this one? So I'm seeing some, but did everyone just understand basically what I'm telling people? Question. So what is direct democracy? Direct democracy is referendums. Direct democracy is also, and again, this is easy to set up. On the system side of this is something that I would love to be involved with, right? So if you spoke about Devon and you said, right, we've got a problem with fishing quotas in Devon, we've got a problem with taxation in Devon, we've got a problem with this in Devon, we've got a problem with that in Devon. And again, the shires would go back to governing themselves, but as long as they acted within the English constitution, no one would interfere with them. So they could turn around and say, right, in Devon, we are saying that no one pays any form of tax, right? There is no taxation as such, right? There's a different way of doing things, right? Completely, and I'll get into that in a minute if you want me to. But there are other ways of doing it. But Devon would control its own tax system. If you null and void the Acts of Union, Devon, you can have something called a Devonshire Bank, right? So you would go back to not a central bank, but you would have its own banking system. And if you look at the Magna Carta actually protected all the towns, cities, and shires in effect, and gave them the same rights as the City of London. That's all been stripped away by the City of London, right? So you would go back, we would look at the whole system again, because England is not interested in Scotland, it's not interested in Wales, it's not interested in Northern Ireland, it's interested in England, right? And instead of being a nation that is all it is concerned with is national domestic product, you would go back to inventing, you would go back to being creative, you would go back to solving problems, right, in society. And we would then implement a system. Just for example, in Devon, Devon could be the greatest shire in England, and everyone would look and say, why can't we be like Devon, right? And then Gloucestershire, for example, could turn around and say, well, we want to do the same as what Devon's doing, right? Because everyone's becoming wealthy, everyone's happy, everyone's getting a living, right? And this is the way we want to do it. Now you can get little twerks, right? So I don't know, Norfolk could decide, well, we're going to do this, but what we're going to do is give businesses the benefit of a 20-year no taxation on any profits, as long as those profits are redeployed within Norfolk, right? And all of a sudden you'll get them businesses coming there, because then they've got a 20-25-year plan of their business where they can redeploy their assets in that area and start to build them businesses up. And then you've got the patents that you can patent certain things, ideas, new inventions, etc. A bit like what JCB's done. They've built their own engine, right? Again, the type of engine that they built is unique, right? Their own designers, their own engineers started from scratch and said, "This is the new hydrogen engine." We can do, because we are the greatest inventors in the world. We can do anything we put our minds to, engineering wise, right? We're not thick, and especially working people. So there's lots of positives, but you can't do any of them things unless you void the Acts of Union. Because what you don't want are these other groups of socialists all saying, "Gimme, gimme, 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 gimme." Right? What we're saying is that ain't happening no more. Right? Scotland shouldn't be able to use the leverage that it's got. The Labour Party and the Conservative and Union Party and the Liberal Democrats and all these other, including Reform, none of them are anti-establishment because they all are pandering to Scotland, to Wales, to Northern Ireland, and the external influence that they've got as leverage against the English. Well, the English have had enough of that, right? We can be the greatest nation on earth. Nationalism or nationism, right? Not nationalism, it's got undertones of socialism, but nationism. So going back to England, where the communities of England work together as one, and we do everything in our power to push that forward and give something to the next generation. That's it. And nationism is the antithesis to globalization, to communism, which is what globalization really is, right? You protect the common law institutions, you protect Christianity. The harmful effects of Zionism would be cast out or banished from the land. The Jesuits, again, would be banished from the land. That is not banishing all Jews. That is not banishing all Catholics. It is banishing the harmful elements, right? And that is all within English common law and the Constitution and our ancient laws and customs, right? So everyone can do that. Let me just make sure I can put all this on. Let me see what this message is before I do anything else. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about? Let me go back. Let's see. Let me have a look. What was this? Someone's just someone sent me a picture of a £5 note with King Charles on it, right? Not my king. And written right across King Charles, it says pedo. Have you seen? Oh right, thank you. No, I never see that. It hasn't come up on my thing on here, but just to make sure, Real Colin Wise has sent me $20. Thank you very much for that. Milking it Jenks' birthday today. I've done that one. Let's get rid of the Central Bank of England. Also, it's not English. No, I agree. So central banking, just to make sure I'm replying, central banking would be gone, right? And that is all part of the control system. And there's other things that I can tell you about that. Contempt of High Court, misrepresentation, breach of overreach, and sales contract and fraud. So someone's just asked, DD, is there any point in reporting a solicitor to the SRA and Law Society for conflict of interest? The SRA is you're always better reporting it because it goes on their file. You can ask for it to be recorded, even if they didn't take it any further, which they very rarely do. They let them get away with absolute murder. But if you report it, and you keep a record of the report, I mean, you may even want to try and personally sue them, and at least you said you've gone through their process. So yeah, there is always that. It's a better thing to do. Let me have a look. I'm just going to see if there's any questions out there. Let me stop sharing that a sec, and then we're going to go back for a few other things. I like it when we plan for the future with solutions, looking forward with a positive outlook. Let me tell you something now, Taffy Pat. Wales can do so well. It's a wonderful place. They can do so well, and we've got such advanced technologies to move forward with. People would be shocked at how well we would do if you took the constraints of the British regulation off of us, and especially working people. We've got a way of finding and doing things. Let me have a look at this. Rumble. Is anyone out there? Sue Ellen, thank you, DD. No worries. Return to our primary nationality and primary laws. Blingvings. Yeah, exactly that. Laugh out loud, understandable enough. Let me have a look here. Right, let me see if I can go back through something else because I'm going to put this up on the screen. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's see if I pull this up. Can everyone see this on the screen? We've changed the PDF a little bit. Right, English Constitution Society, the Dunes Complex, English Constitutional Convention Weekender. Right, so this is lots of different people. Lots of people are saying they're going to it. Don't forget, you can pay on the door, get tickets. We're going to put the link out, hopefully, in this, and I am going to do a little video talking about this, and I will hopefully do it tomorrow. Right, spend 2 days at the seaside with the English, exploring your inalienable and constitutional rights, what they are, why they matter, and how the state is working to take them away. 4:30 Friday evening, June the 5th, to Sunday, June the 7th, 2026. Special guest, Mark Devlin. Now, why is Mark so important to this? Right, so can you all see this on your screens, by the way? Mark was in the music. He's quite a funny guy, and he's got a very dry sense of humour, I've been told, and so have I, by the way. So it should be making me giggle. What's really important about Mark is he spent so much time in the music industry that he's seen the manipulation and how they manipulate people. So I'm going to show you something else in a couple of minutes, hopefully. If Mr. and Mrs. English send me 927, send me in the chat. I'll bring up your latest video. And I want people to watch it and listen to it. So what we're doing is educating children and educating adults on our constitutional history, constitutional law, their basic common law rights, and the history of England, and especially as a Christian nation, right? To start, remember who you are, right? Now, the music industry in particular have assisted in destroying the minds of children, and then through adolescence and then into adult life by manipulating people's minds and following people that are saying, doing things with certain types of music that is having a very deep effect on them, but it is in general subliminal, right? And what we're doing is reversing that. And one of the ways you can reverse it, which is everyone should understand, which I'm about to show you. So again, that's special guest Mark Devlin. We really want one more guest. I might even send a few messages out to people, although it's a bit short notice here. We was hoping for Dr. Glidden, but Dr. Glidden's mother-in-law is not very well, and I believe she's on end of life. So you've got to be very careful at that time. He didn't want to come over here, although he wanted to come. So we may be able to do it next year with Dr. Glidden. But obviously the main speaker is going to be me. But there's a QR code on there. And self-determination is the number one human right. So you've got the English, the Scottish, the Northern Irish as an independent nation. It's never been put forward. It's never been on the table for them before, and it should be. Wales, Cornwall, and the Republic of Ireland. Now, the Republic of Ireland, I think, is in the same situation as Scotland. It lost its way. It basically got captured by the European Union and administrative law and the socialist communist system. And I think the Irish are sort of understanding that now, that they have been duped into a system that really was not good, right? So let me just make sure I can see all this. Let me see if I can bring this up on the screen. So someone else has just put something on. Let me see if I can bring this up and see if I can find it. Where's my history gone? There it is. My history, and see if she comes up on there. Let me have a quick look, seeing what I've been looking at. This one here, right? I think people should look at this. There's a few things so we're going to have a bit of a mini music night. So if anyone's out there, sends through the stuff and I'll play it. Right, but here we go. I'm going to show you this one. Let's go back to that. Maybe, I don't know whether I want to take the whole camera off, but this is Ask Yourself Why. Right, so listen to this. Let's see if I can bring it right up on the screen. And again, this is Mr. and Mrs. English 927 on YouTube, right? And have a listen, but watch the screen and have a look what they're doing. Let's see if I can pull myself off the screen a sec. Right, and then see if you can actually see this. Ask yourself Ask yourself why. Lights up, England everywhere. Old rights rising in the midnight air. From Magna Carta to the Bill of Rights, we carved our freedoms into stone, not into hype. They said forever, they said in perpetuity. Now for governments to twist with impunity. But every time they chip away, they hope you never looked that way. They hope you never read the lines that guarded you for all this time. So ask yourself why. Why would anyone want your birthright gone? Why would anyone fear you standing strong? Ask yourself why. Why silence the people? Why bury the past? Why take away a freedom built to last? Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Right to silence, right to stand, right to jury by your peers in the land. Rights that kings once feared, rights that tyrants always steered away from public sight. But England kept them burning bright. If the right is yours, why do they want it gone? If the right is ancient, why can't they leave it alone? Ask yourself why. Why would anyone want your freedoms dim? Why rewrite the rules that protected you then? Ask yourself why. Lights up England, every right we ever had, glowing like gold and flare. They say the past is dusty, but the past is where the truth sleeps. Charters written in iron words, promises the crown had to keep. Forever was a metaphor, it meant forevermore. Yeah, here we are, watching them test the door. Forever meant forever, so why do they keep trying to sever the rights we were born to inherit? Ask yourself why they fear your spirit. Why would they want it gone?
Silence used to shield you, now they twisted into guilt. Who benefits from breaking what the Constitution built? If power hates a limit, then limits keep you free. Ask yourself who gains when they rewrite history. Forever, never forever. So why do they keep trying to sever? Ask yourself why. From breaking the Constitution built. Power hates a limit. The limits keep you free. Ask yourself who gains when they rewrite history. Forever, forever. So why do they keep trying to sever? Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. England shining, rights igniting, centuries of people fighting so you could stand, so you could speak, so power couldn't crush the weak. But someone wants the lights to go, wants you not to even know what your ancestors locked in place. God, the people of this place. This is your birthright, so why would they want it gone? Why dim freedom that's been burning strong? This is your birthright, so ask yourself why they try to take the power from your side. Birthright, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Rights in ink, rights in blood, rights that stood through fire and flood. If they weren't scared of you, why would they hide the truth? This is your birthright. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why.
So, let's get back to here. Ask Yourself Why. Written and produced by Mr. and Mrs. English 927. And by the way, there's already, just to make sure I'm clear on this, let's take that off. There's already some internet radio stations asking if they can play it. So it's being passed to those radio stations. So when I was talking about this guy, again, I'm going to take my camera off, Mark Devlin. Mark Devlin was involved in the music industry. Now, what the music industry have done is assisted in the brainwashing of our children, and then the adolescence, and then early adulthood, and then into adulthood, and used that medium as a brainwashing. Remember what I said earlier on about psychologists, why I don't particularly like them? Because they've used their skills in an evil way. A bit like scientists who created nuclear power for a power system to assist everyone, and they used it as a weapon against humanity. They've done the same with the music industry. And what Mark does is he explains that to people, right? A bit like Sandi Adams was explaining regionalisation and devolution, which is one of my pet subjects, which I didn't have to. I mean, again, at these events, it's very difficult to go into too much detail when you haven't got a long time to do it. But people are getting the idea that it's to destroy England, right? So just to make sure you understand, what we're doing is, and again, Mr. and Mrs. English have done a fantastic job of pushing that information out. Let me see if I can come off that one a second, and I'll see if I can go back to one of our other ones. We're not brainwashing kids. What we're doing is educating them and showing them literally how we, let me see if that's on there. There it is. So I'm going to put it on the other screen if I can. what we're doing is showing people. Let's see if I can share that one with you. What we're doing is showing people the positive way of using music to teach kids, right? So again, the English Constitutional Convention Weekender, right? Spend 2 days at the seaside with the English, exploring your inalienable and constitutional rights, what they are, why they matter, how the state is working to take them away from 4:30 Friday evening, June the 5th, to Sunday, June the 7th. So it will be on the Saturday and the Sunday that we will actually be voting on certain elements of what we're doing as the English Constitution Society, which is educational, and then and some of that is going to do with the structure of the English Constitution Society, right? And some of it is going to be doing votes on what we're doing with the English Constitution Party, which our manifesto is the English Constitution, right? So people need to understand who we are and who you are. And if you're English, you will push that forward. So Dunes Complex, Central Promenade, Maplethorpe, LN12 1RG, everyone welcome. And again, you can pay on the door. We're asking, the rates are all on the website. So if you're going to have a look at that, you will see it. I don't want to say the wrong thing because I haven't got it in front of me. But what I am going to do is show this. So everyone should see that. And if you don't know who Mark Devlin is, let's see if I can pull him up on the screen a bit more. There he is, special guest, Mark Devlin. We've got music there, and we've got this absolutely stunning little place that is completely free speech. So there it is on the screen, if everyone wants to have a look at that. And we'll be literally, we will be there from the weekend. Now, let me stop sharing that a second. Go back to my main screen. Let me see what we're doing here. Someone else is sending, this is our England. If you don't like it, satirical dance. I'm not sure. Amelia is our England. If you don't like it, blah, blah, blah. Amelia gets back. I don't know who wrote this one. Who wrote this one? Makeshift. Some people say York should be our English Parliament. Someone else has just asked me a question and I can't see where it come up. Again, someone else has just said Cumbria. I don't disagree, to be honest. All I know is it shouldn't be. If it was, I think we would be making a mistake during a national reset to have it in the South. The South has been, in many ways, have been captured in a wrong way. I think the north of England, and I love Northerners. We need to be saying, let's sit down and take this country back and show them the respect that they deserve, right? And you're not getting that from the British. So let me just have a quick look here. Well, that's that one. Can we as a people, right? So Grasshopper asks question: what can we do as a people to avoid the acts of union? The answer to that is to contact any so-called, I won't say so-called, Restore Britain. If they consider themselves to be anti-establishment, anti-British establishment, anti-fascist, anti-communist, and they want the nations of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland to survive, and Southern Ireland to look and go, whoa, right, we want to be back as part of this. I'm not suggesting that they come back into the British system, because we're all getting out of that. But you need to persuade people need all over this country to start saying to Rupert Lowe in particular. And I had a really good conversation with someone just before this show started, and that person, I can't really say anything, but I had a really good conversation, and I was impressed with the conversation. and I will tell people after, but not live on air. But there are things afoot. There are things afoot. So I'm not, and again, I want to express this to everyone. I am not being negative to the Scottish people, right? I want them to take Scotland back. I want Scotland to survive as a nation, but it's not going to do it as a socialist nation or communist nation or a fascist nation, right? That ain't going to happen. But it's for them to make their own decisions, right? Not for it to be imposed upon them by the English, which they've always accused us of. It's not us, it's the British, right? And it's the British establishment. It's the ruling oligarchy of the establishment, the seventh floor, whatever you want to describe them as, right? Rupert Lowe has just fell foul of them. He's lost his court case. If he had asked me to look at that case, we won our case, our constitutional case, and we actually won the part where they was trying to say to us that we was interfering with the proceedings of Parliament by serving Sarah Pouchin at Parliament, and the High Court at the Administrative Court, so the King's Bench, has said no, they're not. All right. What depicts and as far as I know, this so-called constitutional lawyer that was employed by Rupert Lowe didn't use our case, which was a positive case in their favour, because them judges had already said, right, that to interfere with the proceedings of Parliament, it would only be, right, so it could only be if you disrupted the proceedings in Parliament, or you was trying to control the proceedings of Parliament from outside of Parliament. And we won that argument, that we weren't doing that. And they tried to say that I was in contempt of Parliament, in which case what I said was, if I'm in contempt of Parliament, the only person who can deal with that is the Speaker of the House, and they would have to try me in Parliament, right? It's a court within its own right. Don't forget, I understand the constitution of this country. And again, you know, these things were not brought up, and the discussion wasn't brought up. I don't know the details of the case, but I know that he's lost the case. All right, and I can't go into further detail, but I just want to make sure everyone understands that. So, what can we do as a people to avoid the acts of union? First of all, you would have to encourage Restore Britain as an anti-establishment party, and you would have to say to them, right, you must be the only party, if you're truly anti-establishment, right, so you back us up on COVID, you're going to back us up on the judiciary being corrupt to the core. You're going to back us up on all these things, and you're going to take us back to a reset position of the Glorious Revolution. What's really important for people to understand is Scotland has the claim of right. We shook hands with Scotland, right, and said to Scots, of course you can have the claim of right. And that meant that the English Bill of Rights protected Scotland as well, right? They asked for that, and we allowed that. The English Bill of Rights predated the Acts of Union because of the common law union and the Union of the Crown of 1603. We shared those rights, and that is the way our constitution is. So we would, in effect, by encouraging Restore Britain to give us a referendum, England only, right? A referendum on leaving the Union. They could do it in Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. But if any one of them nations individually decides to leave, they leave. If people want to stay in it, they can be part of their own union. In fact, they can be part of the Commonwealth. But England will say enough is enough, right? Which brings me to another, because there was a number of discussions last night with Let me see if I can find it. Tracy sent it earlier. Let's see if I can find this particular song. Now I've said the words "enough is enough." Let me see if I can find it, and it goes on there. Let me. What am I clicking off of here? Continue. I just want to sign on to your account. I don't want to sign on to accounts. I've got an account. Get it off of there. Right, so I'm going to put this one on there. We need to restructure this whole system. They can't be allowed to keep doing this. Someone out there must say enough's enough. The Constitution, quite simply, is the will of the people. The will of the people against the will of Parliament. That's the piece of the jigsaw that everybody is missing because it has been removed from their education.
Welcome to the revolution. The people taking a stand. Rule of law and constitution. Free man on his hand. He is waking, rising up, speaking out. Enough is enough. He is waking, rising up, speaking out. Enough, 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 enough is enough.
People have had enough. They have just denied you the knowledge to understand that you actually have a constitution, and the constitution is the solution. These people, these elites from Oxford, most of the cabinet's made up for these elites from Oxford, just think they're rules. And at some stage we all need to stand up and say, no, that ain't going on.
Speak up now for life and liberty. Where did we go wrong? We are fooled by a great conspiracy. We shall overcome, 'cause we are waking, rising up, speaking out. Enough is enough.
disgrace. An absolute disgrace what's going on now. Enough's enough.
And of course, you have got the all-time absolute favourite, and I'm sure everyone's going to understand what this one is. Are you ready?
Revolution! As is a nation, it's one nation of old, a land built by heroes, their stories we've been told, built upon a history of toil, sweat and tears, a Christian land of over 1,000 years. But listen to me, people, these words you can't ignore. Today England needs her sons and her daughters like never before. Feel the pride, hear the call, from Land's End to Adrian's Wall. This is England, the land of St. George. This is the land of the free, where the white cliffs meet the sea. 1,000 years of kings and queens, Oxford and Cambridge English law, Charles Dickens and Bobby Moore, Drake and Nelson sailing the seven seas. But listen to me, people, these words you can't ignore. Today England needs her sons and her daughters like never before. Feel the pride, hear the call, from Land's End to Adrian's Wall. This is England, the land of St. George. I see the Downs and the Yorkshire Dales, the New Forest and the Lakeland Fells, and there I hear Wainwright calling me. Now every Englishman he knows the greatest beauty be an English rose, and within this land my spirit will ever be. But listen to me, people, these words you can't ignore. Today England needs her sons and her daughters like never before. Feel the pride, hear the call, from Land's End to Adrian's Wall. This is England, the land of St. George. England, oh England, every woman, every man. What became of Jerusalem in this green and pleasant land? I won't run, I'll never hide, they'll always see my English pride. This is England, the land of St. George. This is England, the land of St. George.
There you go, people. So I've got another one for you because I can't close out the show without actually playing this one. So I'm going to play this one. You can have two more, right? We'll play, mind you, an England Scorned is a good one. But really, There's a Nation. So I'll ask you to vote on what order. You can have an England Scorned. And I think that's a good song. We'll play that one, right? And then we'll play There's a Nation.
sit there in your shirt and tie, boldly dictating. A crooked smile while you fed us lies. You didn't trust your own persuading. You sought to slay and to keep at bay the few good men that warned. Well, the dawn is nigh, look to the sky, beware of an England scorned. Father, I, the riddle I die, for the riddle I. You were bought with coin and you played your part and you'll live to rue the day. You smite the ways of our hallowed land and ignore the plight of our people, while you grease the stranger's outstretched hand and shout that all are equal. There'll be bitter cries for your deeds and lies when weird sounds the horn, and the Norns will glide through English sky and you'll reap an England scorned. Father, I, the riddle I die, Father, riddle I. You were bought with coin and you played your part and you'll live to rue the day. To me, Father, I, the riddle I die, hark to the sounded horn. When freedom cries fill English skies, you'll wish you'd never been born. Father, I, the riddle I die, Father, riddle I. You were bought with coin and you played your part and you'll live to rue the day. To me, Father, I, the riddle I die, hark to the sounded horn. When freedom cries fill English skies, you'll wish you'd never been born.
And next we have, you're going to like this, not a lot. Share this one instead.
Now
it's been 25 years or more. I've roamed this land from shore to shore, from Tyne to Tamar, 7 to Thames, from moor to vale, from peak to fen. Played in cafes and pubs and bars. I've stood in the street with my old guitar. But I'd be richer than all the rest if I had £1 for each request. But Julian Banjo's American Pie, it's enough to make you cry. Rule Britannia or Swing Low are they the only songs the English know.
I've got to say something, like some of the women in this video are the absolute dog's bollocks. Right, good.
Seed, bud, flower, fruit, they're never gonna grow without their roots. Branch, stem, shoots, they need roots. After the speeches, when the cake's been cut, the disco's over and the bar is shut. At christening, birthday, wedding or wake, what can we sing until the morning breaks? When the Indian, Asians, Afro Celts, it's in their blood below the belt. They're playing and dancing all night long. So what have they got right that we've got wrong? Seed, bud, flower, fruit, never gonna grow without their roots. Branch, stem, shell, we need roots and all the way, boys, let them go. Out in the wind and the rain and snow, we've lost more than we'll let know. On the rocky shores of England, all the way, boys, let them go. Out in the wind and the rain and snow, we've lost more than we'll let know. On the rocky shores of England, we need roots. Minister said his vision of hell is 3 folk singers in a pub near Wells. Well, I've got a vision of urban sprawl. It's pubs where no one ever sings at all, and everyone stares at a great big screen. Overpaid soccer stars, prancing teams, Australian soap, American rap, there's 3 English baseball caps. And we aren't any ashamed before we go of the way we look and the way we talk. Without our stories or our songs, how will we know where we come from? I've lost St. George in the Union Jack. That's my flag too, and I want it back. Seed, bud, flower, fruit, never gonna grow without their roots. Branch, stem, shell, we need roots and all the way, boys, let them go. Out in the wind and the rain and snow, we've lost more than we let know. On the rocky shores of England, all the way, boys, let them go. Out in the wind and the rain and snow, we've lost more than we let know. On the rocky shores of England, all the way, boys, let them go. Out in the wind and the rain and snow, we've lost more than we let know. On the rocky shores of England.
So again, you've got that wonderful one there, and I'm going to take you on to the next one. As you're going to like this one as well, I think. Right, we're going to have a play out of some of our songs. Here we go. Are you ready?
There's a nation that is England. This is a land of the free. This is a land of hope and glory. This is a land of you and me.
Just to let everyone know, yeah, Steve, Citizen Steve, is still alive, I believe. He's also living in Devon, right? Just to let you know.
We are the people, our strength comes from within. Now it don't matter who you are, friend, or the colour of your skin. So let England stand united and be strong now from the start. We got a pride, dedication, a passion, devotion, St. George in our heart. There's a message for those who hate England. Why don't you do us all a favour, as well as yourself? If you hate my England as much as you're claiming, why don't you pack your bags and fuck off somewhere else? We are the people, our strength comes from within. Now it don't matter who you are, friend, or the colour of your skin. So let England stand united and be strong now from the start. We got a pride, dedication, a passion and devotion, St. George in our heart. There's a message for those who hate England. Why don't you do us all a favour, as well as yourself? If you hate our England as much as you're claiming, why don't you pack your bags and fuck off somewhere else? Why don't you pack your bags and fuck off somewhere else?
Bearing in mind, Steve used to be a paratroop, though, right? So he is one of our vets and an extremely passionate patriot. All right, one more coming up, and then we're going to say good evening, good night, God bless, and don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution.
Revolution!
Don't wanna gripe and I don't wanna whinge, but look at the state that the bleeding country's in. I'm working all the hours, I'm doing all I can to share all me money with the bleeding tax man. Paying the government is driving me insane. You might as well take the money and throw it down the drain. People come to England holding out their hands, and the government give our cash away. I don't understand. Now what about the old soldier who can't afford a dinner? What about the old people freezing in the winter? More and more children living in poverty, and the government give our cash away. It don't make sense to me.
Gandalf!
Put him in charge of the nation.
Gandalf!
He'll fix immigration.
Gandalf!
He'll put us back on track. Send him down to Dover to send the buggers back.
Gandalf!
Put him in charge of the nation.
Now, I thought Rupert Lowe was Gandalf, right? That's my honest opinion, right? I'm still waiting to see if he truly is a Gandalf. Because Gandalf would say, we're going to give the English a referendum on the Union.
Gandalf,
He'll fix immigration.
Gandalf,
Oh, it'll be a famous day. We'll stick him on the cliffs at Dover and let the old sod say,
you shall not pass!
call me a bigot. You can say I take the mick. The fools call me a racist, but I don't give a shit. Taking care of British people's got to be right. And it makes no difference to me if you're black or you're white. Political correctness, I just don't understand. It's almost destroyed this green and pleasant land. This country is governed by a bunch of weak fools. We need a politician with a proper pair of balls. Cause what about the bloke who's lost his job and his home? What about the cancer patient dying all alone? You can say I'm wrong, you can say I'm right, but when was the last time you see a politician go on strike?
Gandalf,
Put him in charge of the nation.
Gandalf,
He'll fix immigration.
Gandalf,
He'll put us back on track. Send him down to Dover to send the buggers back.
Gandalf,
Put him in charge of the nation.
Gandalf,
He'll fix immigration.
Gandalf,
Oh, it'll be a famous day. We'll stick him on the cliffs at Dover and let the old sod say,
you shall not pass!
put him in charge of the nation. He'll fix immigration. He'll put us back on track. Send him down to Dover to send the buggers back.
Three months ago, a large extended Roma family moved into a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house on this quiet estate.
I live next door to 21 of them, and they were noisy, really noisy, and urinating out in the streets, throwing their rubbish in my bin, and throwing the rubbish over in my gardens.
They come and do their 1 and 2s. They don't give a damn, because Sue stopped one of them, and he turned around and said, well, I needed to go, so I went. Which is unhygienic, spreads disease.
Sloughs spent £175,000 so far this year on a special Roma unit. That cash comes from existing funds, meaning cuts elsewhere. The crime rate's also up 12% across Slough.
So there you go, people. Gandalf. I thought Rupert Lowe was Gandalf. I'm still hoping he can be Gandalf. Because he's got the support of England. He's just got to have the push forward to say, listen, let's do this constitutionally. Right? We're the oldest nation in the world. We decide how to run this nation. Not some ruling oligarch of communists and fascists. We are the English, and that is the way we need to proceed. So I am again going to say to you, good night, God bless to everyone. I'm going to put this up on your screen as we speak. The English Constitutional Convention weekender, where we're going to be discussing a few things and having some voting. It's going to be really important. It's also a time to chill out. Everyone get to meet each other. We'll have a laugh, and we're going to push forward and keep pushing the Constitution, both educationally and politically. We all need to come together in England, and in doing so, we will be assisting Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Cornwall. we need to take this country back from the globalists. And the only people going to do that is us. That's it. Good night. God bless. And I will see you all soon. Don't forget, we need as many of these seminars booking up and talking about the Constitution. Keep pushing forward with Restore in the background. If they're going to be subverted by unionists, then they're not truly anti-establishment, is my answer. And one way or the other, we've got to take England back. That's what our ancestors gave us, and that is what we intend to pass on to our children. That's it. Good night. God bless. Au revoir. Tiddly boo. And don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution.